Welcome into the D2 Baseball Podcast. Robert Fry here today, joined with USC Beaufort head coach Brian Lewis. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you having me on.
And Coach, welcome in, and how does it feel to step in the head coaching role? You're officially announced July 1st. How does it feel to officially be in the head coaching role at USC Beaufort?
Yeah, obviously it feels great. A tremendous opportunity for me and my family down here in the beautiful city of Bluffton, South Carolina, right on the coast here near Hilton Head Island. So no complaints from me there, and just given the opportunity from the university to that they believe in me, to kind of elevate me from the hitting coach position that I was in for a year and a half, and having the confidence of your administration to make a move like that really bodes well for me, I guess, so to speak. But also it motivates me to do a good job here.
And speaking of motivation, what are some big motivators for this program as you lead it?
Well, we just got through the transition into the D2 level from NAIA, and I kind of got in on the last half of that. So we got a ways to go in some areas in terms of getting more competitive, but I think the motivation is that we're not far off. We got a lot of hungry guys. We've got a good mix of guys that have been here 4 or 5 years through the transition, and want to be a part of that framework and laying that groundwork of turning us into a Peach Belt power. That's the goal, and we brought in a lot of nice pieces around them. Some guys like kind of chip on the shoulder JUCO guys, so to speak, to come on in and try to help with that. And, we're just motivated by trying to win more games.
And, with that motivation too, talk a little bit about, what excites you for that upcoming season in 2026 at the helm of USC Beaufort.
Well, what excites me is our guys. We're having a really good fall. I mean, I know it's hard to tell sometimes in the fall when you're inter-squatting a lot and practicing and those things, but we've raised the floor with our talent. The ceiling is getting higher as well. We have a lot of guys from all over the country that want to be a part of this, and I think it speaks to the university itself and just the area and how people want to be here and living in this area. And our guys are just hungry every day, and we're trying to get them to understand, win or lose, we want the other team at the end of the day to feel like they've been through a battle, that they're exhausted by the end of the day, win or lose. And I think that our guys are buying into that, and we're doing a really good job this fall. So I'm excited about our guys, man. We've got some talent, we got some characters, and ready to get after it.
And speaking of ready to get after it, and you mentioned raising the floor, raising the ceiling, what are some kind of core principles in terms of player development that you have instilled so far in this program?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, just the component of toughness every day, and grinding every day. I mean, I know that's a lot of coach speak, but we really need that here. We're still in the situation in some ways with resources that, we need to improve on. We need to have those guys that understand that that's not what it's all about. That it's not about all the swag and the beauty of and the pageantry of stadiums and clubhouses and those things. I mean, it's all great. We all want them. But we need guys to understand that what it's really about is getting out there and getting after it every single day on the field. And I think that's the number one core principle that we've tried to instill here with this new staff and moving forward, is that, every day when you wake up, we got to make the best decisions for the team. On and off the field, and that's grittiness, and that's where it starts. So that's number one thing. The other thing from a development standpoint is a lot of small group work, a lot of one-on-one time, so to speak, or 1-on-3 time. I'm a true believer that that's where you really develop. I mean, team practice is great, and you can develop some in team practice for sure, but that's more for just competing, getting into situations and tendencies and things. That real development comes from more one-on-one work. We've really made an effort to instill that this year with our guys.
And to kind of like backtrack it even more is, with that kind of development, how do you look for certain players on the recruiting trail that help enhances that kind of development?
Yeah, well, obviously you look for baseball players. I mean, everybody in the Peach Belt Conference. I mean, it's a strong conference. It's a great conference, and it's competitive. And every weekend, the guy in the other dugout is looking to knock my head off, and the other players are looking to knock our heads off. So what we are trying to find with our recruits, you go back to that kind of toughness, competitive. We want guys that want to compete every day, and so we're looking for that. But I trust the network that I've built over my career in terms of high school coaches, junior college coaches, kind of listen to what they're telling me, and then try to dig in on some of those guys. And our thought is, we needed a little more pitching depth, the last couple of years. Everybody needs pitching. I get that. But had we had a little more pitching depth, had we had just a little more depth in certain areas, I think we win some more games. And so our thing was, if we could raise the floor and add that depth, and then also, top layer a couple pieces of really talented players. We weren't far off from really being competitive in this league, and I think that we're well on our way to that.
And speaking of that, you mentioned the Peach Belt, but not just the Peach Belt, but just the Southeast region as a whole. Talk about what excites you to be able to compete in just such a highly competitive region.
Well, just what you said, the excitement to compete against, in my opinion, the best of the best that do what we do, they don't lose that competitive fire. So, like, I know when we go down and let's just take Florida Southern, for instance, we go down and play Florida Southern. I know OD's over there. He's wanting to kill me, I know that it's the same way. Like, that's how us coaches are. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, we're all respectful for each other, and some of us even good friends off the field, and I've known Rick a long, long time. But that's what makes it fun, and that's what makes the best is that they don't lose that competitive fire. That us as coaches are trying to win and outmaneuver and out strategize and out compete the guy that's over in the other dugout. And that's what I really want to do this year. And moving forward with this program is just really excited for that, because there's so many great coaches down here. And obviously you got to have players. It doesn't matter how good a coach is if he doesn't have good players, but that's really what I'm excited about down here, and I haven't been treated like I'm an outsider, even though I'm a Midwest guy. I'm not a born and raised Southern boy. Everybody's treated me well, and I'm excited for that competition.
And, you mentioned, being a Midwest guy, and you've had extensive experience, coaching in the Midwest, playing in the Midwest. How does that help you in turn playing, somewhere in like South Carolina?
Well, what I've come to find out, or at least in my minimal experience where I'm at now, is that for us where we're at, it's easier for me to kind of sell a Midwest kid or a Northern kid that's really talented to maybe overlook some shortcomings that we may have on our end in terms of whether that be, whether it's a lesser scholarship package, whether it's, a facility thing or things like that, in order to get out of the cold and get out of the indoor facility and be able to be outside and compete at this level. So I think some of those things from the Midwest, I think every area of the country has their own sort of grittiness, no doubt about it. And for me, being able to, most of my career being in summer collegiate baseball as well, I've coached guys from all over, and every area has their niche of grittiness. But these guys that come down from the Midwest, and I guess I could throw myself into that category, is you kind of grow up feeling a little bit inferior to the kids that play in Florida and the kids that play in Georgia and the kids that play in Texas and in these places. And, we kind of try to use that to our advantage on the recruiting trail as well to get, again, those guys with the chip on their shoulder that have something to prove.
And so you mentioned, your coaching history and coaching the summer, according to the team website, you have coached more than 150 MLB draft picks. Talk a little bit about, from your perspective of that kind of development and seeing that kind of talent and how it can possibly be reflected onto your program now.
Yeah, I've been really fortunate in a lot of ways in my career, to be honest. And getting started at such a young age in the Frontier League is kind of where it all began, almost 25 years ago, with Summer Collegiate and the Frontier League and those sorts of things. I have been able to coach a lot of really great players that have gone on to some really great level big leagues and all that sort of thing. And So what I can tend to do, especially now as as I get older and these kids stay the same age, I try to learn from them. I try to find out, hey, what are you doing at the University of Georgia? What does it look like playing at Long Beach State? These things, and take some things, and using some of those relationships that I've built to even go watch practices of programs like that. You never stop learning as a coach, no matter how old you get. But I think what we can do and what I can do is really teach the mental side of it, trying to be a pro every single day. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. No matter what happened the day before, no matter what you're worried about tomorrow, it all comes down to staying in the moment. And the guys that I've been fortunate enough to coach that have gone on to do great things on the field are all guys that know how to do that and stay in the moment, no matter if they've gone. I saw Charlie Condon hit 2-3 home runs in a game and be the guy, and I saw him really struggle and leave 6-7 runners on base and be very frustrated with himself at the end of the day. And no matter what, the next day Charlie was Charlie, and he was coming back out to try and take somebody's head off. So that's what we're trying to instill, and I think that's something that I can personally help them with since I've been able to be around it.
And being around it too, you mentioned Charlie, on the offensive guy, going to the program now. Last year you spent the season as the team's hitting coach. Now this year in the head coaching role, what is your involvement still with the offense now that you've taken on a head coaching role?
Yeah, great question. Obviously still involved for sure. I've always, even though I've done a little bit of everything in my career, from hitting and pitching and all those things, but hitting and running an offense has always kind of been my forte. And so I'm definitely really involved more in the approach side and the strategic side of base running is a big thing for me, and those things. I hired an assistant coach, a hitting coach that I used to coach a few years back, O'Neal Burgos, and he's outstanding. And he's really taken a lead with our hitters here, and he's done a great job. So, I think you have to trust your assistants to coach, and that's what we're going to do here. That's what I'm doing with OB, but I'm still involved. I think any head coach would tell you that they wish they could be more involved in the day-to-day instruction with hitters, pitchers, and those things. But the best of the best find a way to get it done, to get in there and give their opinions and work with the guys. So, I'm still involved for sure, but it's more from a higher level, from an approach standpoint.
And so, speaking of approach, with the team setting now, how do you approach, the typical buzzword of team culture? How do you approach that in your program?
Yeah. Culture is such a word that we all use it. We all throw it around. Sometimes it's hard to really define it. And especially when you're trying to build something. But for me, I think culture is really that every day being the same, and now you could every day be the same negative person, the same bad individual, and that's not going to build culture. So I try to lead by example for sure. And, a lot of coaches will say, hey, door's always open for you and all that sort of thing. But it really is here. And I think the culture's changed pretty quickly just from the openness of myself personally. I'm pretty blunt with the guys. They know where they stand with me. They know what they're going to get from me. And it doesn't change any day of the week, no matter what's happened the day before. So guys are in and out of the office all the time. We don't necessarily have to have all these individual meetings to talk about roles and where they're at and what do you expect of me and why am I not playing more and all those sorts of things, because they know every single day. And I think the culture, we can try to lay a foundation as coaches, but then the players have to take the lead. And, a great, Joe Madden, the great manager. I remember Joe Madden as the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm not going to give him credit for the Cubs. I'm a St. Louis guy, but I love Joe Madden. And Joe Madden used to have a big thing in the clubhouse that said, discipline yourself so we don't have to. And that's kind of where we're trying to take this culture. If these players can hold each other accountable and discipline themselves, which they really started off doing a great job with, we're going to have a great culture.
And, expand a little bit on that, of players being able to discipline themselves or just player leadership in a program. Talk about the impact that could lead to with USC Beaufort.
Yeah, you hear the word discipline, and all of us, myself included, every time you probably hear the word discipline, it's almost like a negative connotation. You think, oh my gosh, I'm going to the principal's office. I got to be disciplined, that sort of thing. But discipline is the way to be successful in life, not just in baseball. And so what we really try to stress is that discipline of routines. building a routine and being disciplined to stay with routine, being able to say no to things and maybe some things you want to do and some fun things and that college guys like to do that I'm sure you did and I did, but being able to say no to some of those things in order for the greater good, to turn the Sand Shark baseball program into a championship caliber program. And so when we talk discipline around here, we try to talk about it in a positive light, not about, oh, you did something wrong and now you got to come in coach's office and get disciplined. I think the more that we can build that, and the guys are really doing well at holding each other accountable to those sorts of things. Just in my short time, we've been doing these 5:45 a.m. lifts a few times a week, and I think we've only had one guy really be late by a few minutes, and that's something that didn't used to happen. It was different. The accountability factor was different. Guys are on time, and if they're not on time, they're getting in each other. Guys are trying to be clutch at practice when we're inter squad, and if a guy doesn't, get a bunt down when it's needed or do those things, they're getting into each other a little bit, not in a bad way, not in a destructive way, but in a way to hold each other accountable. And I think that starts with our discipline, with our practices.
And talk a lot, within that discipline, you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, but talk about just the excitement of being able to officially say that you're a full Division II member.
Well, the excitement for the community and the university as a whole has really been off the charts. I mean, everywhere you look around here in the building now, you see all these signs that say the Low Countries team. The blue oval, sort of that blue circle, that really that gets a lot of people motivated. That gets a lot of people excited. And we're in an area, where our basketball team, that just started the program a couple years ago, had a really great season last year. They're getting a lot of people at their games. The excitement is building from the community and the university, and it's outstanding. They put out a 2020 plan, is what they call it, a 2020 vision plan or something of that nature, of upgrading facilities and upgrading the campus and things. And that's all, pretty much spearheaded by the fact that we're Division II now. For me personally, it's almost a dream come true for me. It's taken a long time to get to this level for me as a coach, and it's something that I don't take lightly. And I just hope that I live up to the expectations that are put on me, and I'm going to work hard every day to get our guys to that point.
And you mentioned that dream come true, and with your experience, coaching in so many different levels of baseball, how does that help you personally as a coach, leading a program in the Division II level?
Well, I think in baseball especially, but any sport, but more in particular baseball, because that's what we do, is the game itself is all about situations and tendencies. And life is about situations and tendencies. And the fact that I've been able to be around, thousands and thousands of games and practices and great coaches and, mentored for over a decade by the great Randy Martz, and those things, like, I just have been able to be in enough situations and seen enough things that I can really help guys. And, I think there's a lot of coaches in America that can say that sort of thing. But I think it's a new thing for the players here, to have somebody with so much experience that, and pretty even keel personality where there's no ups or downs. It's pretty much straight line all the day or all the time, every day. And that becomes from the experience. And I think that's what is the beauty of what we got going here. And I think that's why guys are so open to come in and talk. Whether it be about baseball or life, is that they know that I'm real. And my college career didn't turn out like I would have hoped. I made some mistakes and choices along my way. And it's because of those sorts of things that I can relate with these guys. And I'm open about it all, both on and off the field. So again, it goes back to situations and tendencies on the field and in life, and being able to have been around a lot of that stuff. I think the guys are pretty confident in my abilities.
And, speaking of being confident in your abilities, what should fans of Sand Shark baseball, or soon to be fans of Sand Shark baseball, be looking forward to here in 2026?
Well, it's going to be a fun style game. If you come out and watch, like, I joke around sometimes saying, hey, it can be the most exciting thing, the greatest show on dirt. or it could turn out to look like a car wreck depending on how we're doing on a given day. But we're going to really get after it on the base pass. We're going to try to put a lot of pressure on the opposing defense. We're gonna hit and run. We're gonna steal. We're gonna bunt and run. We're gonna do all the things that we can to really try to put pressure on the defense. So I think if you come out and watch, you're gonna see a brand of baseball that is fun to watch, that is exciting. Hopefully puts up a lot of runs in the manner that we want to. And just like anything else, you're only as good as your defense. So I think it's going to be a fun season, no doubt, no matter what, because I don't know any other way but to have fun around this game. But I think the fans of USCB are going to be really proud of what the Sand Sharks put out on the field this year, and it's it'll just hopefully get better year after year.
And Coach, final question I have for you is, to get to where you are today, who are some mentors or people in your life that helped to get to where you are?
Oh man, so many. I mentioned Randy Martz. I mean, that's number one. Randy Martz, South Carolina Gamecock Hall of Fame, took him to the College World Series in Omaha in 1977. He was my JUCO coach. He gave me my first job. He hired me in the Frontier League as a 20-something-year-old. Coached with him at the college level for a long time. I mean, he taught me everything. He's definitely number one. And I wouldn't be where I am today as a baseball coach or a man without him. So, some other people, obviously my father had a major impact on my life. He was a guy that didn't know much about sports, but blue collar guy that just decided to coach our teams as a kid because no other parent would do it, even though he didn't know anything, but was a great mentor for me. But in terms of on the field, I've been really fortunate to work with some great guys. Bear Kelly at Illinois Central College. I worked with him for a long time, been friends with him for over 20 years. Even though we're about the same age, he's definitely a mentor to me as well. So, Coach Greg DeCourcy, I wouldn't be anywhere without him. My high school coach, Illinois State Hall of Fame high school coach, state champion multiple times. Played high school for him. The word discipline was different for him, by the way, when I played for him. So, but those are probably the three guys that have really, genuinely boosted my career for sure.
And Coach Lewis, sincerely appreciate you taking out the time to talk about the program. And, we wish you the best of luck going out into 2026 for the Sand Sharks.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and fins up.
And that is Brian Lewis, head coach at USC Beaufort. We'd like to give a big thank you to all of our regional tier Patreon members. We couldn't make it to the ninth inning without the support of all of you. You're the real MVPs, hitting a home run for the team every single time. Thank you.